You know that feeling, right? The post-event crash?
Oh, yeah.
You spend months, I mean, literally months, just living in spreadsheets. You're negotiating with venues, wrangling 100 exhibitors.
Begging speakers to please send in their slide decks.
Yes, you've basically lost sleep for, what, a quarter of the year?
It is an absolute marathon. And then, finally, the doors open.
And for 3 days, it is just electric. The rooms are packed, people are shaking hands, coffee is flowing.
Deals are getting done right there on the show floor. You feel like you've built this incredible, temporary city.
You have, but then it's 5 o'clock on that last day.
And the silence just sets in.
It's so immediate. The stage crews start tearing down the lights, the banners get rolled up into those cardboard tubes, and suddenly that whole world is just gone.
It's a feeling that the source material for our deep dive today describes just perfectly.
How so?
They say the value of the event often disappears as quickly as the coffee carts.
Wow. That is such a depressing image, but it is so, so true. And that is exactly what we are digging into today.
We're looking at an article from the Construction Channel.
It's called Turn Your Construction Events into Year-Round Visibility and Sponsor Value.
And the core mission of this deep dive is really about sustainability, not environmental sustainability, though that's important in construction,
Right.
but the sustainability of attention.
Mm.
How do you stop losing all that momentum the second the last attendee drives away?
Exactly. How do we turn a one-and-done week into a 360-day content engine? Because if you're doing all that work, you want it to last.
Precisely. And if you look at the typical life cycle for an event director, it's just brutal.
It is.
It's this cycle of intense buildup, delivery, a short recovery, and then almost immediately you have to start rebuilding all that excitement from scratch for next year.
Because everyone has already forgotten what happened.
They have. The noise of day-to-day work just drowns it out.
Yeah.
The source makes a great point here.
What's that?
Sponsors start thinking about their next budget cycle. Potential attendees who missed it just move on. If you don't have something to keep the story alive, you're basically starting at zero every single year.
Okay, so let's unpack how we break that cycle. The source highlights 3 huge opportunities that just evaporate if you aren't capturing the event.
And the first one is the big one.
Sponsor proof.
This is so critical. We have to ask ourselves, why do sponsors really support these events?
Well, you think it's to get their logo on a banner, right? Just visibility.
That's the surface level.
Yeah.
But deep down, they want to reach people. They want to be associated with meaningful work. And, crucially, they need something tangible to show their own bosses to justify the spend.
Okay, so let's play this out. The old way of doing this would be, what, sending them a spreadsheet 2 weeks later?
Exactly. You send an email, hey, thanks for coming. We had 500 attendees. And maybe you attach a couple of blurry photos from your phone where half the people are looking at the floor.
And that's supposed to convince a CFO to write a check for 20 grand again next year.
It's a very hard sell. But contrast that with the new way the source describes.
Yeah.
Imagine sending them a professionally shot highlight reel, a video where they see their own team on site, their equipment being used, their logo in the background of a crowded, energetic room.
Oh, that changes the renewal conversation completely.
It does. It creates what the article calls internal advocacy. You're arming your contact at that sponsor company with a weapon they can use inside their own walls.
So they don't have to just take your word for it.
They can forward that video to their VP of marketing and say, look, we need to be there again next year.
You're making them look like a hero for booking the event in the first place. That's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the money side. But let's talk about, the heart of these events. The second lost opportunity is workforce storytelling.
This is where the construction industry is so unique. These events aren't just people in suits in a ballroom. Often you have career fairs, skills competitions.
Young people touching heavy equipment for the very first time. The source material had some really specific examples that I loved, like capturing the moment a first-generation college student discovers a trade they didn't even know existed.
Or a high schooler sitting in a simulator. Or an early career professional just passionately explaining why they love their job. These are authentic, emotional moments.
So what though? If those moments aren't captured on video, who do they actually influence?
Just the people standing right there in the room.
Maybe 3 or 4 people next to them?
That's it. But if you capture them professionally, those moments become assets. You can take that clip of the student's eyes lighting up and use it for school visits. You can show it at legislative briefings.
It amplifies the impact from one room to
Well, to the whole world. I love that.
Yeah.
And that leads directly into the third opportunity, which is continuity.
The ongoing drumbeat.
Right, avoiding that radio silence between events.
If you treat the event as a one-off, you have silence for months. But if you have this bank of content, you can remind people all year long of the value you delivered.
It keeps the community warm, yes, so that when registration opens next year, they already have this visual, this feeling of what they're signing up for. You're not cold calling them in January.
Okay, so we are sold on why we need to film this stuff. But here's where it gets really interesting and frankly a bit tricky. The source makes a very strong argument that you can't just hire your cousin with a camera.
No, or a wedding videographer.
Okay.
They are very clear. Construction requires construction-savvy media.
Why is that distinction so important? I mean, a camera's a camera, right? Why does it matter if the videographer knows what a backhoe is?
You'd think it's simple, but just consider the physical environment. Construction events are dynamic.
Sure.
You've got heavy equipment demos, job site tours, active safety drills. A general videographer might not understand the PPE requirements.
Well, that's a great point. You don't want your camera guy getting kicked off the site because he's not wearing his hard hat or high-vis vest properly.
Or worse, putting themselves in danger because they don't understand the swing radius of an excavator. The crew needs to know how to move safely around heavy iron, when to get close, when to stay back.
It's about respecting the work.
It is. And it's also about the language of the industry. This is a subtle point the source makes, but it's so crucial.
Explain that.
Specialized crew. They know what matters. They can listen to a conversation and recognize, oh, that's a discussion about precast concrete that owners are going to care about.
Whereas a generalist might just see two people talking in a hallway and think it's boring B-roll.
Exactly. They'll cut away right when the conversation gets good. The source describes the media team needing to work like a trade partner.
Not an interruption.
No, they should blend in. They need to come from the construction world, not just the production world.
So they know how to work in a conference room 1 hour and on a muddy slab the next, without needing the event organizer to hold their hand.
Which, if you're that stressed out organizer we talked about at the beginning, is a massive, massive relief.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's get into the how. We're at the event, the camera crew is there, they're safe, they're savvy. What are they actually filming?
Well, the source says it's about capturing the edges.
Seeking out the edges where real stories live. I love that phrasing.
It's great, isn't it?
It sounds poetic, but what does it mean in practice?
It means looking beyond the keynote speaker on the main stage. Yes, you record the speech. That's table stakes. You set up a tripod in the back, you hit record.
But the real gold is happening on the sidelines.
That's where it is.
So, like what? Give me an example.
The source lists some great ones. Picture a sponsor teaching a student how a specific tool works. That little interaction, that transfer of knowledge is gold.
Or a superintendent explaining safety culture on camera.
Not reading from a manual, but speaking from the heart. Or a project engineer talking about how a scholarship from the association changed their whole career path.
That's a testimonial you could never script. So you capture all this raw footage, gigabytes of it, but you don't just dump a 3-hour file on YouTube. The magic is in the editing strategy, the deliverables.
This is where we turn that raw footage into strategic assets. The source suggests breaking it down into specific cuts for specific uses.
Okay, let's run through the menu. First up, the highlight reel.
This is your punchy 2-minute video, high energy, driving music, quick cuts. This is not where you explain complex policy.
Yeah.
This is where you create FOMO, fear of missing out. This is what you use to open registration for next year. It screams, you don't want to miss this.
Love it. Then there are the sponsor packages. This one struck me as just brilliant.
It's such a huge value add. You cut short clips, maybe 30 seconds, featuring a specific sponsor, their booth, their team, their logo in action.
Yeah.
And you send it to them.
As a wrap-up gift, basically.
Exactly. Here is your brand in action. And what do they do with it?
They share it.
They share it. They post it on their LinkedIn. They send it around internally. And the genius part is they are distributing your event content to their network for free.
That makes them look good, which makes you look good.
Win-win.
Okay, then there are member spotlights.
These are your community builders.
Mm-hmm.
You drip these out over the months after the event. It highlights who belongs to your organization and reminds everyone it isn't just a logo. It's a community of real people.
And finally, the workforce components.
These are those separate cuts, specifically for schools and training centers. You take those student interactions we talked about and package them, so an educator can show young people what a construction career actually looks like.
It really does create this whole ecosystem of benefits.
It does. Think about the organization itself. It transforms from being a logo into a living community.
Right.
So when you walk into a meeting with a legislator to lobby for an infrastructure bill, you're not just bringing charts. You're showing them video proof of your members at work. You are showing, not just telling.
And for the members, it's a win because they get access to high-quality production they maybe couldn't afford on their own.
Exactly. A small or mid-sized contractor might not have a budget for a professional film crew.
No way.
But if they attend your event and get interviewed, they can use that clip for their own business development. And they'll credit the event for it. It just lifts the whole industry up.
So let's talk execution. How do we pull this off without going crazy? The source mentions a workflow.
Right. Pre-event planning, the filming, and the release. The pre-event planning is key. You can't just show up and hope for the best.
You've got to identify those key sessions, those must-have shots. But once the event's over, the release strategy is vital. And the big rule here is,
Do not dump everything at once.
please don't.
That's the classic mistake. You get the files, you get excited, you post 10 videos in one day, nobody watches them all, and then you've got nothing left for the rest of the year.
So what's the better approach?
It's the drip. Release that high-energy highlight reel in week 1 while the buzz is fresh. Everyone will share it because they want to see if they're in it.
Right.
But you hold those member spotlights for month 3 or month 6 when things are quiet. You save the best testimonials for when you launch registration for the next year.
It's all about pacing. And tailoring the content to the platform too, right? Because LinkedIn is not TikTok.
Yes, the source is really clear on this. What works on LinkedIn for a professional audience, like that safety superintendent interview,
Yeah.
is very different from what works on Instagram.
Instagram wants those energetic, fast-moving glimpses, the vibes.
Exactly. Whereas YouTube is a better home for longer-form storytelling or the full panel discussions. You have to meet your audience where they are.
So if we just zoom out, what we're really talking about here is a total mindset shift.
It is. It's moving from event week
Yeah.
to event year.
I like that. Event year.
The work you put into these events, it matters. People leave changed. New connections are made, new careers are started. But without capturing it, that impact is fleeting.
It leaves when the attendees drive away.
The whole goal of this strategy is to make that remaining impact visible.
You know, it brings me back to that old philosophical question. I was thinking about this while I was reading the article.
Which one is that?
The tree falling in the forest.
Oh, right.
If you host a career-changing event for the construction industry, if you spark a fire in a student's eyes who decides right then and there to become an engineer, but no one outside that room sees it, did you really maximize your mission?
That is the provocative thought to leave with. In today's world, if it isn't captured, for most people, it didn't really happen.
Yeah.
And for an industry that so desperately needs to recruit the next generation and prove its value to the economy, we just can't afford for those moments to be invisible.
We really can't. We build tangible things, roads, bridges, skyscrapers. We need to get better at building the intangible legacy of the industry, too.
Well said.
That is a wrap on this deep dive. Hopefully, your next event lives a lot longer than the coffee carts. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.